Thank you. I'm Amy Hutzel. I'm with the State Coastal Conservancy, which does work on the entire coast of California and in the entire 9-county Bay Area. And I'm here to respond to questions raised during this committee hearing, not to testify in support or opposition. I do want to thank Senator Wolk for tackling this issue. The Conservancies and the Wildlife Conservation Board would undertake projects under this water bond that focus on watershed protection, wetlands restoration, and flood protection, projects that provide multiple benefits and build the resilience of our human and natural communities using nature-based solutions, much as Senator Pavley talked about during the opening comments. These projects would be based on regional and statewide plans that are developed using best available science and that are developed from the bottom up, planning that involves multiple stakeholders in our regions. The Conservancies and Wildlife Conservation Board work with local agencies and other organizations to get projects on the ground efficiently using competitive grant programs. And I think the direct allocations really clarify the division among the various agencies. So thank you.
Yeah. In the back? Yes. Hi.
Good afternoon. Just checking.
Oh, yes.
My name is Julia McKeever. I'm here representing the Environmental Water Caucus. And I wanted to thank Senator Wolk for taking up this thorny issue in the committee and its staff as well. We're very happy to hear the thread in the comments regarding recycling and conservation. I feel it's paramount. Reports by institutions such as the Pacific Institute and the administration's own California Water Plan tell us that conservation and recycling could add over 5 million acre-feet to our water supply by 2030. That's close to how much the CVP and SWP deliver in an average year and in the next 15 years from when this bond could be voted on by Californians. And speaking of which, polling has also revealed that voters are more likely to vote for conservation in a bond than storage. We see emphasis on this perhaps jeopardized by all of the competing interests in this bond and strongly urge the committee to ensure that conservation and recycling aren't just allowed, but in fact are top priorities in a bond. Thanks.
Vern Gehring on behalf of the California Urban Streams Partnership, a new organization of local and regional groups working to improve water quality, manage stormwater, and revive neighborhoods. We agree with others who've spoken to the inappropriateness of moving forward with the current $11 million bond measure. We really appreciate Senator Wolk and the committee for working on a more reasonable proposal. What you have before you, we think, is a very good beginning. There are two quick points I want to make on two areas that we think need a little further work. While we appreciate the allocation of $250 million for urban areas, but creating a new program controlled by the Secretary of Natural Resources with projects implemented by the Conservancies, we think seems unnecessary. There are existing programs carried out by state agencies with good track records that need to be funded to ensure multi-purpose benefits accrue to urban communities. The Urban Streams Program, the River Parkways, urban forestry programs all have backlog needs that can help meet the objectives of this bond. The second point, the framework for the Integrated Regional Water Management Program, or IRWMP, as outlined in this current proposed draft of 848, we think will continue to keep this important program out of reach of most communities and community groups seeking help to undertake low-cost, multi-purpose watershed improvements. As proposed, this program will mostly fund only the largest infrastructure water supply projects proposed by the largest water agencies. This needs to be fixed. We urge instead, or in addition to, refunding the watershed management programs initiated nearly a decade ago with the assistance of Assemblywoman and now Senator Fran Pavley and others to ensure that urban benefits funding projects that the urban areas benefit, by funding projects closer to those voters. We look forward to working with the committee and the author on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Vern.
Good afternoon. Omar Carrillo, Centro Comunitario por el Agua, also known as Community Water Center. I'm here representing, in strong support for this legislation. This bond process has been one of the first where NGOs, organizations like myself have been part of the process in really figuring out what needs to happen to address the issue of millions of Californians who do not have safe drinking water. And we are in support of this legislation. Real quickly, we want to continue to work with this committee and Senator Polk, and we will see each other again soon, because I know this is a first of many. Thank you very much for your time.
Vice Senator Wolk, yes.
Thank you. My name is Lee Sharp, and I'm with the Napa County Resource Conservation District. I also speak on behalf of the Sonoma and Goldridge RCDs in Sonoma County and the Santa Cruz RCD in Santa Cruz County. We're all members of the Water Bond Coalition, and we support the comments provided by the Water Bond Coalition. We do want to thank Senator Wolk for her leadership in crafting a bill that is fiscally responsible and that addresses the critical water management issues in every part of our great state. We support Senate Bill 848, and as RCDs who have a long history of working with our local agricultural land managers, we particularly appreciate the inclusion of provisions to assist agricultural operators with implementation of water management practices that will conserve, protect, and restore, provide CPR for our watersheds. And we look forward to improving practices for California's waterways. We also just generally support, are appreciative of the support of resource conservations, and as special districts, who you heard about earlier, we are charged with assisting local land managers in natural resource conservation, and we stand ready to work with you, with our communities, and with our local state agency partners to meet California's great water challenges. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is John Brody. I'm the Executive Director of the San Joaquin County Resource Conservation District, and I just want to concur on the comments from the other resource conservation districts. In particular, I want to thank Senator Wolk for Provision 79758 with funding for agricultural runoff practices. In San Joaquin County alone, under the conservation title of the Farm Bill, we get $6 million annually devoted to agricultural water projects under EQIP. That program is a 50% cost share program, the other 50% coming out of the pocket of the growers, so that means we're spending $12 million a year on agricultural water projects. One caution we have there, we would like to see that competitive grant process moved out of the State Water Board, because that State Water Board is both the policymaker and judge on some of these ag runoff issues. There is the perception that there could be preconceived ideas on where some of that funding should go, and that process would not be as competitive as possibly should be. Thank you.
Valerie Narify, the California Chamber of Commerce. We are opposed to the bill at the moment. We would like to associate our comments with Ms. Tuck from Aqua. We also believe that the storage amount in the bill right now is inadequate. We'd like to see that move to $3 billion and include continuous appropriation.
Thank you. Izzy?
My name's Izzy Martin. I'm the CEO of the Sierra Fund. I also serve as the president of the Consumnes American Bear Yuba Integrated Regional Water Management Group, which includes water agencies, cities, counties, special districts, and NGOs. I'm very pleased to see SB 848. Senator Wolk, here's a copy of my comments to you. They're also being passed out to you right now. I'm going to second that there's lots of improvements to this. I'm excited to see it. I'm going to fourth the idea that the Sierra Nevada, as the largest watershed in the state, really needs to have investment in our ecosystem. One bad forest fire not only wrecks our air quality, might as well just light up a cigarette for the state of California, it can destroy water infrastructure as well as destroy water quality. So it's a very high quality investment, the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. We'd like to see more put into that. The previous version of Senator Wolk's bill talked about mercury. The Sierra Fund has a Get the Mercury Out campaign. We've brought a lot of support behind this campaign. The little brochure I have given you shows us two ideas where we might be able to get that mercury out. Mercury is also related to storage where we live. Where we live, our reservoirs are filling up with hydraulic mining debris. And so in this little drawing here, you see the hydraulic mining debris loading up behind the dam. Our water agencies used to remove that material until they were stopped by the Water Board. The Water Board was concerned about the mercury that was being stirred up. That mercury was mined on the coast, brought over to the Gold Country, and used in mining operations, leaving behind millions of pounds in our watershed. There's also a lot of contamination in the Coast Range from legacy mercury mining. It affects Senator Wilk's district very directly, but also yours, I believe, Senator Manning, and other folks in this table. So we are concerned because the water agencies in our area have been stopped from removing the material because they've been mobilizing mercury when they do that. Senator Pavley and Senator Wolk have both talked about the need to remove or to at least explore.
Stop you right there. We've got your brochure and
Got my stuff.
one of my favorite topics. So
I know, and I love
Time
seeing
has
your
run
pictures.
out.
I can just let you know we're very pleased in the direction you're heading.
okay,
Thank you.
good. Ending. Yes.
Thank you, Chair and members. Kate Bell with Capital Advocacy on behalf of Western Growers Association, WGA. To honor the Chair's request and avoid duplication, I'll be very brief. WGA must respectfully oppose this measure today. We concur with Speakers Curtin, Mateus, and Manning with regard to storage and the continuous appropriation in the language. Thank you.
John Hopkins with the California Habitat Conservation Planning Coalition. We're a statewide entity of local government jurisdictions, NGOs and businesses involved in the development and implementation of habitat conservation plans and natural community conservation plans. And we thank Senator Wolk for her great leadership in moving this bill, and your leadership as well, Senator Pavley. We concur with a number of speakers who have stressed the importance of the funding for the Wildlife Conservation Board. We're very pleased to see the Wildlife Conservation Board explicitly stated as a recipient of funds. And we also concur with several speakers that the importance of finding a way to increase this allocation. There are many, many watersheds around the state, including quite a lot with HCPs and NCCPs that can do a great deal for water supply and also multiple benefits such as adjacent urban folks. We also concur with Placer County in stating that we note the absence of the language that was in the earlier version that specifically called out natural community conservation plans and habitat conservation plans as a use of Wildlife Conservation Board, as a use of the funds, and now it be the Wildlife Conservation Board funds, and we respectfully ask that this language be reinserted in the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Kendra Dijogo with the Gualco Group. I wanted to point out that we fully appreciate the Chair and Senator Lara's points on groundwater basin contamination cleanup. We have a client, the San Gabriel Basin Water Quality Authority, who's very busy doing that, and we appreciate your comments on that. We also appreciate Senator Hueso's continued support of the Salton Sea and energy development in that area. With regard to Senator Wolk's bill, the Kern County Water Agency and the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District unfortunately opposed the bill at this time. During the 2009 Delta Water Package negotiations, we advocated for direct linkage between the policy bills and the water bond, and so we feel that both the policy and the amounts in the water bond and some of the things that are contained in the bond at this time move away from those agreements. So unfortunately, we oppose the bill at this time.
Madam Chair, I'm Ron Stork, Policy Director at Friends of the River. I'm pleased to testify on this bill, which is probably the best of the bond bills that you're looking at in the legislature today, or the one that you passed several years ago. It's also, I believe, the most complementary to the bill, the drought relief bill that was just introduced this morning by Senators Boxer and Feinstein, which I've spent the morning taking a look at, as well as listening to the hearing. I have 3 quick points. I think the bill needs to be wary of subsidies to some of the most powerful and wealthy water districts in the state to build dams that have high cost and low yield and would have never been built without the subsidies contained in this water bond, particularly those subsidies to a certain water district that is farming poisonous ground on the west side of the San Joaquin Valley. I think it's also important to be transparent about the effect that this bill will have on the state and federal wild and scenic river systems, and I suggest an amendment that would not obligate funds or prevent funds from being used for projects that would adversely affect the system as it exists at the time of the bond passage. And I think it's also important to understand that there are substantial public or controversies about the nature of public subsidies for some of the CalFed projects that are contemplated to be funded in these bills. For example, the Shasta raise is a 60% public benefit in the eyes of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, but the federal natural resources agencies can find little to no fishery or public benefit for those projects.
Stop. And
I'm finished. Thank you.
Comments.
Members of the committee, Kathy Mannion, RCRC, representing rural counties. I'd like to mention that we're looking at all the water bonds. We're not taking a support or opposed position. What we are doing is providing comments as to those positive benefits that we see of the various measures and making suggestions for additions or changes. That said, there is a lot to like in Senator Woke's 848. Our letter outlines a number of those items. I won't go into it here. There's several suggestions that we have made for consideration, things that you have heard previously. We would like consideration for the addition of integrated regional water management funding for the mountain counties overlaid as delineated in the California Water Plan. That has been in previous bond measures. We agree that there should be some increased funding for Delta sustainability and water storage, and we also agree with the continuous appropriation language. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. In the back.
Good afternoon. Doug Obiji from the Natural Resources Defense Council. We are in support of SB 848 while there are a number of issues that have been raised by committee members and by other stakeholders, and we have our own set of issues that continue to be worked out. We're confident that the author and other sponsors will work those out to an acceptable degree. I want to highlight 3 points. One is that we strongly support the funding for integrated local supplies. This is the cheapest, fastest, most cost-effective way to increase our water supplies, as well as creating local jobs in local communities, unlike some of the big construction projects that would really not create jobs in a lot of our local communities. Secondly, the watershed funding really helps to restore the health of our rivers and our watersheds, which has big benefits in terms of water quality and water supply, as well as benefiting and helping to address the impacts of the amount of water that we take out of the system. We have tens of thousands of jobs in communities that depend on healthy salmon fisheries, healthy environment, whether that's recreation, tourism, etc. And this is an investment in our long-term future. Lastly, with respect to storage, NRDC believes that it is really important to have strong accountability mechanisms in this bond. One of those is to have legislative oversight over funding for storage. We believe that, as of right now, the surface storage and groundwater projects should compete on a level playing field with the best projects rising to the top. We believe that will often be groundwater cleanup and groundwater banking projects, but not entirely. And so we're encouraged by the structure of 848. We look forward to continuing to work with the author and other members. Thank you.
You've already testified.
Someone asked me to speak on behalf of another organization as well.
30 seconds. That's it.
Absolutely.
Because everyone will come up a second chance and come up with another person they're representing. Hurry.
No, absolutely. Cynthia Vitale on behalf of Environmental Defense Fund in support. We've submitted a comment letter that outlines in detail the specific provisions of the bill we support. Thank you.
We'll look for it. All right. Thank you, everyone who participated in the 3-hour hearing. Senator Woke, if you have some wrap-up comments, obviously all the water bonds are going to be bills in progress. We're going to have 2 more hearings on this bond in this House, then appropriations, and then the Senate floor perhaps, and then there's other bills that we have the good fortune of being able to look at also.
I just want to thank Madam Chair and members of the committee and all those who came to testify. Just briefly, sort of tongue-in-cheek, I added up the amount.
Just a minute, please. If you would make sure you call members' offices, because we're voting within a few minutes.
I added up the amount of money that people asked be added back in, and that comes to $5.4 billion, which takes us way above the 11.4 where we are right now, and there were 4 others who just weren't specific about how many millions. I really do think that we have to move this forward and have that discussion. The needs are critical. And I pledge to work with those who have concerns, and I appreciate the comments that have been made. Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you very much for that presentation. And just as a way to wrap up, yes, I was taking notes on the math problem we were having and deciding all that, but I was sort of struck that a little bit of deja vu that I'm hearing the same arguments from the same people just fast forward 5 years later. And so collectively out there working together, but also looking at new strategies and concepts, because I think the world has changed to some extent, and I think it deserves some real attention on regional solutions while we also recognize statewide responsibilities. So it'll be a challenge to pull this together, but we have a few months. All right. If no one has any other comments, I'd entertain a motion on due pass to environmental quality.
As amended.
As amended? Mm-hmm. Okay. Roll call.
Senators Pavley?
Aye.
Pavley, aye. Canella? Evans? Fuller? Hueso? Jackson? Jackson, aye. Laura? Monning? Monning, aye. Wolk? Wolk, aye. She needs one more.
And I'm going to leave the roll open for other members to come. I let them know in caucus I will be there when I can attend.
There's a caucus.
No caucus today. Very good. Then I'll go hungry today. No excuse. I'll be staying right here then. I do think it makes. Be quiet because I need to reopen the roll. Please call the roll for any members that might have missed the vote. The motion was to pass as amended.
Senators Canella? Evans? Aye. Evans, aye. Fuller? Hueso and Lara. Okay, so that's 5.
I will close the roll. That's enough to have this pass out of committee. If you can let me know whether Laura and Hueso are intending to come or not. Thank you. Let me
Open the roll.
open the roll. The motion, Senator Lara, was to do pass with amendments to environmental quality.
Senators Canella, Fuller, Hueso, Lara. Lara, aye.
Laura, aye. The motion passes. The vote is 6. Senator Hueso is not returning. Senator Canella and Fuller were not able to attend the meeting, so I will close the hearing.